Welcome back. I'd like to welcome you all to the second episode of the Dude, Who Are You and What Do You Do For Us podcast. I'm your host, Ed Rossich. I also happen to have a day job as your CEO. The start of these conversations, I've been meeting dudes on a daily basis and learning about them and their jobs, and decided it might be something interesting for the rest of Dude Nation to hear a little bit about their teammates, the work they do, and some of the fun that they have being a dude. So today I've got Beville Nicholas with us. How you doing?
I am doing great.
Awesome.
Nice to meet you.
I'm very pleased to meet you. Lots of people saying great things about you. So, it's Super Bowl weekend. Any prognostications there?
Well, first I need to know who's playing. I don't watch football. I consider football soccer because I'm from the Caribbean.
Ooh.
So, who's playing?
Who's playing? Well, this will be my first football game that I watched this year as well. So,
Okay.
It's the Eagles and the Patriots, and I'm sure there's lots of people with opinions on each side. So anyways, how's a guy that went to Vanderbilt through the Bronx, New York,
Yes.
get to be a dude?
Well, I'm happy that you know some things about me. Yes. I went to college in Vanderbilt University from New York City. So after college, went back to New York City to stay with my mom. And I started working at Verizon. I wanted to pursue education further. So Verizon had a program where they paid for your master's degree. So
cool.
Went to get my master's at Verizon, and then worked there for 8 years. So
Wow,
spent
8 years.
Was a sales rep. Went to become an assistant manager. Then I transitioned to the business department, and I did business sales. So I sold government, non-government, and traditional businesses. So did that for some time, and I wanted to see what else was out there. My girlfriend lives in Raleigh, so I was working in Greensboro.
That's the connection.
Yes, she drove an hour and a half every day to see me.
An hour and a half to see. I mean, you're a good-looking guy, but I'm not sure anybody would drive an hour and a half, right?
Yeah, she did it for a year. So I Googled fastest growing companies in the triad.
Yeah.
The Dude Solutions came up. I applied, and here I am.
Awesome. So you're in the sales area. What do you sell for us?
So I sell the Works Hub to senior living clients.
Got it. What's your territory?
I support the Northeast area, so New York, that central location over there.
Got it. Very cool. So tell me about a day in your life or a week in your life. I'm sure the rest of the Dude Nation would love to hear what it's like to be a sales rep for us.
Well, I can tell you. So my day starts at 8 o'clock. First thing I do is I check my emails when I come in, see if I missed anything from the day before. Then I pull up Salesforce and I look at my tasks. So every opportunity that I have has a task listed in Salesforce. So I go in there, and when I knock out all my tasks, at that point, I start prospecting for new business. So I call into senior living communities and ask to speak to executive directors, administrators, or maintenance directors, and kind of share what we do and how we help them.
Gosh, how many calls do you make a day or a week? Or?
I try to do at least 50 a day.
Wow.
So in a week, was that 250, something like that?
Man, and out of those 250 calls, how many times you get told no, or just not even a person on the other end of the line?
Yeah, that's the most common thing, is really getting someone on the phone. So I would say the majority of my calls are, I'm calling and they're not there. I'll call back, leave a voicemail. But when you do finally get them on the phone, you feel like you have a connection with them because there's a trail of communications. So
you've been stalking them for a year, type of thing.
I've been calling them for quite a while, so you could just easily just talk to them.
Yeah. So when you do get on the phone, like how do you talk about the dude? Like, what do you do to get them sort of interested in hearing more about? Like, how do you go about that?
Well, first I want to get to know them, want to know what their priorities are. So right now, my conversations are, what are your priorities for 2018? The year just started. Kind of what are your goals? What are you looking to accomplish? So first, I get to know them, what's important to them, and at that point, if it makes sense, then we transition to here's what we've done for other communities and kind of how we fit into what their priorities are. So I try to make it about them as opposed to what I do and what I'm trying to sell you.
Yeah, no, that's a good way of going about sales. What's the easiest thing about talking about the dude? Like when you get that person on the phone, like, like if you can get this point across, you got them as far as like interested in us as far as what we do.
Well, for a lot of people I speak to, they like the fact that simplicity and it's easy to use. So I think that the name Dude Solutions and the Dude kind of helps that conversation.
Yeah, it's disarming, right?
Yeah, it's just so easy. You know, anyone can figure it out. So I try to convey that when I talk to them as early as possible.
Very cool.
Yes.
What's the hardest thing about your job in sales or with healthcare in general?
Mm-hmm. I would say the most challenging part is really that persistence of calling them and reaching out to them, you know, multiple times until you get them on the phone. Mm-hmm. I think there's a statistic that the average sales rep quits after 2 attempts. Mm-hmm. But, you know, of course, to speak to someone, you may have to reach out 10 to 15 times to actually get them on the phone. And using multiple methods will not just be phone, email, LinkedIn. So kind of a multi-touch approach to getting them on the phone. Just sticking to that. That's probably the most difficult part. But now that we have Sales Loft, it makes it a little bit more easier. You don't have to remember all the steps that you have for each prospect you're working. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
How do you motivate your 250 calls a week? You know, you're smiling, you're dialing, you're getting told no, you're getting no answers, hung ups. How do you get yourself up every day to go make that call?
Well, I do it for a few reasons. So one, I want to take a trip. I want to travel the world, so I have to have money to afford that. 2, I want to start a family. So my girlfriend, we're at the stage where we want to, you know, have a kid, and 3, you know, I'm in the process of buying a house now, so I need to maintain this house and you know afford a child. So those are primarily what keeps me going every day because I'm the breadwinner in the family. You know. Yeah,
no, that makes sense. Robbing banks is a little harder to get the money than sales, I guess. Right?
Yes. I don't think that I'm built for robbing banks.
Yeah, I can tell that for sure.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah. So when you think about the rest of the company and you know how they help you or you know get your job done, or maybe some things that might you wish the team would know that might make your job easier, what might be some of that?
I would say, and from an account representative's perspective, I utilize Salesforce to a T, so a lot. Mm-hmm. So it would be nice if the other departments kind of shared their interactions in Salesforce, maybe through account history or some kind of tab where I can kind of know what interaction each client has had with us. So when I pull up that Salesforce account, I'll be more informed before I call them. Mm-hmm. So that would be, I would say, the most important thing.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any any one call or customer interaction that stands out as most memorable or funny or an oh crap moment? Or
Yes, I do. So when I first started, so I've been with the company 8 months, still fairly new. When I first started, I would call prospects and I wouldn't double check their account in Salesforce to see if there's another phantom account or another duplicate account in there. Yeah. So there was a prospect that called and we were having a conversation and they were very interested in what I had to say, only to tell me in the end that, hey, we're already a client of yours. And I was like, give me a second. And I pulled up the account. I was like, oh, yeah, I see that. And, I had to transition that conversation from, prospecting call to just, hey, just calling to check in. Right. Yeah. So, but going forward, I just, pull up the account in in Salesforce search to make sure that they don't have any existing accounts with us.
No, that makes good sense. Any cool hobbies or superpowers you have?
I don't have superpowers. I wish I did, because then I'd read my girlfriend's mind. That would be like my ultimate superpower.
I've been married for 30 years. You'll never get there, ever.
But as far as hobbies, I love listening to music. I'm very passionate about music. I love R&B, love hip hop, just love anything that has a good beat, good melody to it. That is, I would say, my most passionate thing.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, we're very appreciative of the work you and all the dudes do for the team, and wanted to turn the tables a little bit and give you an opportunity to ask a couple of questions for me as we round this out.
Sure. So I think, I'm from the Caribbean, and I came to America kind of to live that American dream of starting at the bottom and, eventually making it to the CEO of a company. So my question to you is, what advice do you have to an account representative just came into the company to kind of guide them along the way as they progress with the company and become, eventually maybe a CEO one day?
Wow. It's a big question. Thanks for that. I think this will be not just for sales, but I think just a couple of points for anybody that aspires to grow in their career, whether it's a salesperson or a developer or what have you. And I think the first thing would be develop the curiosity gene. Always be asking questions and learning and trying to figure out ways to do things better, faster, more spectacularly. Because I think when you look at top performers that get promoted, they're the ones that are asking questions and pushing the edges and challenging things. I think the second thing that I would say is if you want to grow in a leadership career, and it's so trite, but it's so true, is leaders are readers. I think if you interviewed 50 CEOs, every one of them would tell you they probably read a book a week. I have a personal goal of reading 50 books a year, and I get something from each and every one of those. And then I think the third thing is excel at your current job, but figure out a way to get yourself trained up for the next one. I think so many people are so focused on what they're doing today that they don't really think about career planning and what skills they need to acquire and experiences they might need to acquire to get to that next step. I'm going to go back and add one more thing to that. I think the folks that I've seen climb, if you will, in their career is they know where they're going, and they try to stay on a path that gets them to where they're going in the shortest route. If you take a look at some people's resumes, they're over here one day, they're over there the next day, they're maybe they're in professional services one year, in sales the next, customer care, but folks that sort of stick with a thread and, for a sales rep, for example, I'm a sales rep, I'm a senior sales rep, I'm a sales manager, I'm a sales director, VP. There's a story there that people can follow. And that's what I look for in resumes. I'm looking for a story, not someone who can't stick with something for a period of time. So answer your question?
That did answer my question. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to ask you, it's more of a lighthearted question.
Yeah.
So I'm passionate about music. I would say my vice, I listen to a lot of music. That would be my vice. I driving to work, I'm blasting music, get off work, I'm blasting music, get home, blasting music, wake up in the morning, I'm blasting music. I'm always listening to music. What would you say is your vice? Or what is something that kind of helps you get through the day, or,
We're talking legal or illegal? No.
Legal, hopefully.
No. I'm pausing here because there's so many things. I'm motivated by helping people, and that's sort of what gets me up. I'm motivated by learning. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I've got a lot of different interests that just keep me constantly in motion, constantly moving. So, not any one thing. I love music. I love everything, but I had a myriad of interests.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
And I have one more question.
One more. You got it.
One more. Why did you decide to join the Dude?
Yeah. So I had 3 CEO opportunities to evaluate within a 2-week period, and I had 3 P's that I was looking for. First off, the people had to be nice, smart, and just folks I wanted to hang with. The second, the products and the mission of the company had to be something that I could get my head and heart wrapped around, that I'd be willing to get up in the morning and go do that. I didn't want to be involved in some sort of plain vanilla company without a really solid mission. And then the third, I was looking for something with high growth potential. And when you consider the fact that there are billions of dollars being spent in the markets that we serve for solutions that we can produce, the potential of growth here at the Dude was something that was interesting. So, people, product, potential, check. The Dude nailed it better than the other 2 opportunities I was looking at. And, I'm 90-something days in, and I'd say I'm more excited today than I was on day 1 because of those 3 Ps.
Nice.
Good stuff. Well, really appreciate you being here today. I really appreciate what you and your teammates do to drive this company forward, and we'll see you on down the road in the hallway somewhere.
Yes, thank you for your time.
Good meeting you.